Hello folks, today we're going to explain an end-to-end DevOps project. As you can see, we will use Jenkins, Ansible and Docker to build and deploy a Candy Crush game inside a container on a virtual machine. So as you can see in the first step, the dev team or just one developer, he will commit his code into the GitHub repository. After that, the GitHub repository is connected with the Jenkins master that we will deploy on a virtual machine. This is going to be the VM number one. After that, once the developer commit his code, there is a connection between the GitHub repository and the Jenkins master. We make this connection using something it calls webhooks. So after the dev commit his codes, the Jenkins will be triggered automatically to build an image. We will build image using Ansible, and we will use the source code that we have pushed into the Docker Hub to build our image. Once we've done with that, we'll push the Docker image into Docker Hub, and after that, at the end, at step number 5, we will deploy our game into the VM number 3, and this is going to be the environment of production or production environment. So if we will do a resume of that, we have 3 VMs. The first one is going to be for Jenkins master. The second one is going to be for his agent, where we will install Ansible. We will install Ansible here to use it to build, as we said, the Docker image. And the third machine is going to be our production environments. Now let us talk about the requirements tools that we will use in this project. The first one is MobXterm. This one we will use it to make a SSH connection into our VMs. Second one is going to be VM managers, and this one is going to be the manager of our VMs. And the third one is Vagrant, is a EIC tool or infrastructure as code tool. This one, it will help us to deploy our VMs automatically and fastly. And the last one is ngrok. This one we will use it to convert a Jenkins VM local address to public, and we will need that to use it in our webhooks to make a connection between GitHub repository and Jenkins master. Now, once you did the installation and you complete the installation of the full tools here, now we can move up to our project. Firstly, you have to clone the whole project on your local machine, and to do that, you can just let me go back here. Yeah, you can do git clone and you put the link of the whole project. Okay, this is the project. Now we get inside our folder. I'm using the Mobax term, as you can see here. This is the interface, this is the UI of this software. So here, this is the phase where we should deploy our VMs. To deploy our VMs, as I mentioned before, we will use Vagrant. Vagrant needs file, it names Vagrant file. We will use that file to deploy our 3 VMs. So to do that, we have to type Vagrant up, and it will start to deploy our VMs automatically. Now, in that time, I'm gonna explain the contents of the Vagrant file. As you can see, the Vagrant files, we use it to configure our VMs, to install many tools on there. So it's really helpful to deploy multiple VMs automatically and fastly. As you can see, and as we have mentioned before, we will use three VMs. The first one for Jenkins master, the second one for Ansible, and the third one for the production environments. So we will use as a system Ubuntu 22.04, and this is some configuration to download and secure VBox to bypass security issues, and this is for the SSH insert key. We make it as false just to avoid answering our key every time we try to connect to our machine. And here we can put configuration of our VM. This is the hardware configuration, as you can see, the RAM and CPU. After that, we start with the first machine is Jenkins machine. As you can see, we will give it an IP. We will use that IP later to connect to this machine, and the name is gonna be Jenkins when we connect inside the machine. And as you can see, the vMemory and the vCPU we have already configured here, and the name of this machine is gonna be Jenkins on the VirtualBox. So yeah, as you can see, he's deploying our Jenkins machine, and he started installation of Jenkins and updating our system here. As you can see, he's applying the same commands that we have put here, as you can see. So in this commands here, we will update our system, we will install Docker, we will add the user vagrant. This is the default user of this box. As you can see, after we will use this user to connect to our machine using SSH connection. So this is the default user, and that's why we are adding this user to the Docker group to be allowed after to use Docker commands without any problems. And even for that one, we're changing the on of docker.sock just for permissions problem, because otherwise the system is going to tell us to run commands, Docker commands as a root, and we don't need that. So after that, as you can see here, we will run and we will use docker run command to run our Jenkins container. As you can see here, we will use Jenkins LTS version to run our Jenkins master. After that, in the second machine, as you can see, the IP address is different than the first one. The first one it was at end .10, and the second one for Ansible is .20. In this machine, it has the same configuration as the first VM of Jenkins, because we made the same VPU and we made the same RAM here. And here, as you can see, we will install Ansible and OpenJDK. Why we need OpenJDK? Because Ansible VM is gonna be, as we said here, it's gonna be the agent of our Jenkins, and to be able to use the agent correctly, we have to install OpenJDK. This is one of the requirements of Jenkins. And it's gonna be the same thing with our production environments. So the only thing that will change is always the IP address. As you can see here, we have 30. So we will install Docker. As you can see, we will add our user to Docker group. We will enable the Docker systemctl, and we will start it. We will change the owner of docker.sock, and at the end, as I've mentioned, we will use two Jenkins agents. The first one is gonna be the second VM, and this is Ansible, and the second one is, sorry, the first one it was Ansible, and the second one is our production environment. So we have two agents, that's why we will install OpenJDK on the third machine and on the second machine. Let us see where we are in the installation. So as you can see, he finished the installation of Jenkins. So now we will make an SSH connection to Jenkins, or before that, let me show you something. We will take the IP address of Jenkins. We'll go here. The port at the end, we can find it here. As you can see, when we run this command here, we use -p is going to be for the port, -d is for detached, to run the Docker container in the background and to avoid to see logs of our container. So in this step, you have to remember always that the left part is always the external port, or the port that we will use to get in or to communicate with our container, and the right side is going to be always the internal port or the container port. So we will use this port to get into the home page of our Jenkins. As you can see, this is the sign in home page of Jenkins, but here it requires a password. How we can get this password? It's so easy. Firstly, we have to establish a connection to our Jenkins machine, and to do that, we have to get the IP address of this machine. This is gonna be that one. Going to Mobaxterm, you can use other tool to make a SSH connection. As you see, you have to put the IP address of the Jenkins VM here, and the user, as we mentioned before, it's gonna be Vagrant. Here we can change the name. We'll put Jenkins master. We can change even the icon, as you can see. Let's take that one, and okay. So now, as you can see, we are inside our Jenkins VM. Yeah. Now we need the password to get inside or to complete the installation of Jenkins on our VM. How to get that? As you know, we have deployed Jenkins as a container inside this VM. So if we run docker ps is to show all the containers who are running at that moment. We can see that we have Jenkins container who is running. So if we do docker logs and we take the ID or the first three characters of the ID, for example AB9, it will show us all the logs of the container, as you can see. And inside the logs, we can get the password, as you see. This is our password that we will use to get inside Jenkins installation page. You have to remember it, or you have to save it somewhere. And here we will install the switches. I will leave him install his things here. Let us check our background. He's always with the installation of Ansible. And here he's installing Jenkins plugin. Yeah. So in this time, I will make a duplicate from that to use it later for the other machines. As I said, we have three. You have to remember that we have three machines. That one is done, and now we are inside the installation page, we are installing Jenkins plugins. Now let us jump to the second machine, just preparation of the session. So we will take the IP address of Ansible VM, as you can see here, and we'll modify the duplicated one, and we will put this address. The user is going to be the same, always the same, because we are using this box. You see, you can go through the documentation of Vagrant to see more in more details. So here we will change just the icon to avoid any confusion between the machine and the other one. Okay, this one is for Ansible, and as you see, Ansible machine is done, the deploying of our VM is done. You can see it here, is running, and even the installation of Ansible on this machine is done. So now we'll make a connection through this machine and check Ansible version. And as you can see, Ansible have been installed correctly. Let me just prepare the third machine. This production environments, yeah, this is the address. You can change, by the way, you can change the addresses as you like. For example, if you put here 50, here, I don't know, 60, as you like, it's up to you. Edit session, I will put this address. The user, as we said, is always the same. Let us change the name. We'll put production environments. Okay, let's change the logo. Which icon should we pick here? Okay, let us take that one. Okay, so he's trying to connect with this machine to start the installation of Docker. I will stop the video and I will come back after the deployment and the installation of our VMs is done. So now we can connect to our production machine. Now we are inside it. Let us check that we have Docker here. Okay, because we will use this machine to deploy or to run our Candy Crush container here. So we will use these production environments to deploy our game. Let us go back to Jenkins installation page, and as you can see, the installation of the plugins is done. And now here, if you want to create your first admin user, you can do it. You can put password and all the other informations, but in my case I will just skip that and continue as an admin. I will save and finish that. So now we can start using our Jenkins. Yeah, as you can see, this is the page of the home page of Jenkins. So now if we go back to our architecture, and as we said, we have already deployed our 3 VMs, our Jenkins master, our Ansible, and the production environment. Now let us jump to the next step, how to configure an agent for Jenkins master. To start that, firstly, we have to go to our Jenkins master, and the number of executors here, you have to put it as 0. Why 0? Because we don't want to run any pipeline or any job on our Jenkins master. That's why we put 0 here. And we can use that only build jobs with label expressions matching this node. So what that means, I'll explain it. For example, we put just a randomly word here. In that case, if we put a randomly word or like a specific word as like, for example, Jenkins agent, we will use this label on our Jenkins file later to use or to execute the job on the specific agent, right? So in our case, we don't want to use our Jenkins master, but instead we want to use our Jenkins agent. That's why we have made this configuration. Let us save that. And now we should add Jenkins agent. Okay, so let us call him agent or Ansible agent as a permanent agent. Create. You don't care about description. The number of executor you can change it. It depends on your hardware of the VM hardware. In our case, I think number 1 is enough. The remote root directory, that one, you can go here to Ansible to our VM. If you do pwd and let us pick that one, this one's gonna be, or you can create another file, another folder, sorry, as you like. But personally, I prefer to use always /home/vagrant as a remote root directory. This is the label. Here we will put Ansible underscore agent. This does not use this node. We don't want to use this node as much as possible, but instead of that, we want to use only if the job match with this label. So we will use this label on our Jenkins file configuration to use or to run specific jobs on this machine. So here, yeah, I forgot to install some plugin. Yeah, before that we have to install SSH publish over SSH plugin, available plugins, publish over SSH, okay, yes, this one, as you can see. Install. Let us scroll down. You wait the installation. Okay, we are good. So now, how we will launch this agent? We should make a connection, SS connection between the agent and the master. As you can see, we are configuring this master now, and we are trying to reach that agent. So in that case, we will use his IP. Let us search for it. Is this one? We will put it here. And for the credentials, we can add the credentials. The credentials gonna be the same credentials that we have used to connect to our Ansible machine. As you see here, the user is gonna be Vagrant, and password by default is Vagrant as well. Vagrant, let's copy that one and use it as password. Let us give it credential ID as agent credentials. Okay, same thing for the description and add. So now after adding the credentials, we have to look here and pick up that one. And for the host key verification strategy, as we are in the local machine and we are working just locally, we don't need to verify anything. So yeah, and we will keep all the other configuration as they are, and we do save. Let us now check is launching. So let us check it. Let us do a launch agent and check logs. Okay, the agent successfully connected and online. The agent is connected. So we are okay with the Ansible agent. The next step is doing the same thing but with the third VM. It is the production environment. So we will add another node, and this time it's gonna be production underscore env. It's gonna be always permanent agent because it's different than the other one we have at Ansible. For example, if you search here, I can't find Ansible. What we call it, agent. Okay, Ansible. As you see, agent. Yeah, Ansible agent. If you want to create another copy for this one, we will pick up this option. But in our case, it's another node completely different than the Ansible agent. So let us pick up this option, permanent agent, doing create as here /home /background, because even the production machine has the same, as you can see here, same path. You can change it if you want to create, for example, another folder here, and after go to this folder and take this path. You can do it as well. It's not a problem. And the label, we will say, I forget which label I put in my Jenkins file. Let me just check this Ansible agent and the game agent. Yes, because it should be the same. And as we said, only for the jobs with label expressions matching this node. Here we will use executing that via SSH. Let us search for the IP address of that. Is with 30 at the end. Put it here. The credentials is the same as the other one we have added already when we did the configuration of Ansible agent. Here, as I said, we don't need to verify because we are working locally. Otherwise, if we were, for example, on the cloud, we have to do non-host file verification and add something on our Jenkins container. Anyway, maybe I will make another video to explain that in details in the future. So I think we are okay. I hit save here, and as you can see, he's under launching. Let's check it here. Relaunch. Okay. Okay, it's connected. So we are okay with our two agents. We have already added successfully our two agents, the Ansible and the production environments. So now we have to go to the dashboard and creating a new item, new pipeline, and let us say Candy Crush pipeline. Yes, okay. Here we will create the pipeline that will do all the CI/CD operations. here we will leave everything as it is, only that one. Why we have to check that one? We have to check that one because the trigger we need to trigger the pipeline each time that developer made the commit into his GitHub. That's why. So and yeah, we leave that like that. It's up to you here if you want to put your code here or using Jenkins file from the repository, and I will use that one because I have already the Jenkins file on my repository. Here you take the HTTPS link because the repository is public. If the repository was private and you don't want to use, for example, credentials here of your GitHub, you can take the SSH and add your SSH key inside your GitHub. But here, as our Docker Hub repository is public, so we will go with the HTTPS link. So yeah, we are good. Always remember to check your branch, the branch that you will use to trigger your pipeline. In my case, I have only the master, so I will put that one here, the master, and the name of your Jenkins file as well. For example, if you have 3 Jenkins files here, in our case we have only one. For example, if you want to test other Jenkins file, number 2, number 3, or whatever, you should change just the name of the Jenkins file here. And now we had to click on save, and this is our first pipeline. So now we have already deployed Jenkins and configured the master and the agent, and as well we have created our pipeline. Now we have to make the connection between GitHub repository and the Jenkins master. How to do that? In that case, we have to use ngrok to generate a public address for our Jenkins VM. Let me open the PowerShell. Yes. To use it, you have to type ngrok. You can use help if you want to see the options here, as you can see. And in our case, we want to use, or we want to forward or convert a local address to a public address. So in that case, we can use that command, as you can see, to expose a local HTTP server. But personally, I don't use HTTPS, but instead of that, we will use the IP address of our Jenkins machine, as you can see. And after that, you have to put the power. Exactly, power is 5,000. So yeah, and now you have this forwarding address. So if you browse into this address, you will get the same Jenkins page. Click on visit site, and as you can see, this is our Jenkins. Let me just get the password. And yeah, we are in. This is our pipeline that we have created on. As you can see here, this is the local address of our VM, and this one is a public. even with HTTPS is the secure connection. So now what we have to do is to establish the connection by using this link to make our GitHub connected with the Jenkins master. In that case, you have to go to the repository, to your project, and after that settings, and after that webhook or webhooks. I have already one here, let me delete it. Okay, double authentication. So, okay, we are in. Let me just add. So, as you can see, we will add this address here. You will put that, and don't forget to add at the end to the ngrok address. You have to add /github-webhook/ at the end, and change the content type to application/JSON. After that, add the webhook, and let us check. We have the check mark here is green, so it's successfully added. So now let us try to launch our Jenkins pipeline by clicking on build now, and let us see. As you can see, is in running. You can click on console output to see logs and the progress of your job. So if you see here is running on the Ansible agent. Is cloning the Git repository. Now, and now he's starting to build our Candy Crush container and push it to the Docker Hub. As you can see, using the playbook, Ansible playbook. At the same time, I think we have to go through our playbook. This is the Ansible playbook that we will use to build and to build our Docker image. So those are just variables, the repo URL and directory. Well, we will clone our repository. After that, name of the image. The name of the Docker image, it should always contains the name of your Docker Hub. Let me just go through my Docker Hub account. Yes, I don't know if I'm in. Yeah, so as you can see, you have always to take the name of your Docker Hub account, and after that you create the repository with the name. As here we have this name as Candy Crush. This is my directory or my repository, and to use that name as the name of your image, because you will need it at the moment where you will push your image. As you can see here, the Docker command that allows you to push your image from your local or from your VM or from the VM on the cloud, is the command is docker push the name of your account, after that / and the name of the repository that you have created, and at the end we will gain the tag story. Yeah, I just want to explain that in more details, and after that we will start with the tasks. The tasks here, we will apply them on our Ansible machine. So first of all, we have to install Git to be allowed to clone our repository. After that, install Docker to be allowed to build our image. As you can see, we use apt because our Ansible machine is Ubuntu, as the OS is Ubuntu. And after that, we use these packages, Git and Docker EU. And after that, we change the owner of Docker.suck as we did with our Vagrant file, just to avoid permissions problem as we mentioned before. And here we will clone our repository. As you can see here, the repository we put it here. This is the link and the repository directory. We will use it as a destination, so we will clone that inside this folder here. And after that, we will change the owner even of our project folder, and we will use the hash code of our repository, or only the first 7 characters of the last commit in our project repository. Why? We will use that to use it as a tag. If you see here, we will use the module of Ansible Docker image to build our container image. And the tag, as you can see here, is gonna be the first 7 characters of the commit. I will show you that. If you go through our project and we check on commits here, you will see those characters. For example, as you can see, we will take only the first 7, for example, just to tag our images, as you can see here. So the tag of each image we will build is gonna be the last hash of our commit. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, this is our playbook. It's so simple. Let us check our Jenkins. Yeah, we have problem here. Cannot find credentials. Yeah, we will fix that. And our Jenkins file, let us explain that as well. So as you can see here, I didn't specify any agent because I will specify that inside my stage. Firstly, I started with the environments, with the name of the image, as I said, and as I explained, it should be always with the name of your Docker Hub repository, Docker Hub, account / Docker Hub repository. And after it's another environments, we will use it just Candy Crush to name our Docker container that runs our game with that name. So coming to stages, we will start with cleaning workspace. And if you see here, this is the label that I was talking about. If you remember, when we made the configuration of our agents, we put on the label this one, you see, and it's the same. If that one don't match the other one on our Jenkins configuration, the job will be failed. So the next stage is build Candy Crush container image. Yeah. In this step, we will just run our playbook using Ansible playbook command. Yeah. So this command is gonna be run inside our Ansible agent, and it will use, if you see here, let me get inside the project. It will run this file. You see, it will run this file. Yeah. So after that, we have the get git hashtag. Yeah. To get git hashtag, we will use the git command to get only its first 7 characters that we will use after to delete or to push our image. After that, we have to log in to our Docker container. Docker hub. Yeah. As you can see here, and there is a specific option on Jenkins that we can use with credentials here to specify or to store our sensitive informations inside our Jenkins. And by the way, this is the problem that we had in our pipeline. As you can see here, could not find credentials entry with ID Docker Hub. So as you can see here, I'm using credentials ID with Docker Hub that contains user variables with username and password variables as password. So we have to add Docker Hub credentials inside our Jenkins credentials. We have to go to dashboards. After that, manage Jenkins. Next step, credentials, global, and add credentials. Here on the username, let us go back to it later. You have to put ID as Docker Hub and description as Docker Hub. The username is the user that you use to connect to your Docker Hub. And in my case, it's gonna be my name. So yeah, after that, the password is gonna be a secret token that we can generate by going to my account, I think. Yes, after security, and here we will generate a new access token. Let us temporary, because I will delete it later. Read and write, generate, and we will take it, copy. You will put it here. Yes, create. Yeah. So now we will use the credential ID with this ID here, Docker Hub, to push our image. You see, the image, when we put sign of dollar here, that means it's variable. If we look for image, the first one is gonna be that one. You see, and the tag, as I explained, we will use the first character of the commit hash. Yeah, and the next step is delete all running containers. For example, we will delete all containers with that name, just with that name, because, for example, let us suppose that we have deployed or we have launched our pipeline, and as you see here, deploy Candy Crush game to VM server. Let us suppose that we run this command docker run detached -p using the port 8080 to get inside our game using the browser, and here to communicate with the Docker container, and here --name and we have the name of our container. In that case, for example, you want to make changes on your game, but if the port, and in that case is 8080, is already in use, you can't deploy another container who will use the same port as, for example, the old one. You see, that's why we delete our container before deploying another new. Yeah, that's the point from deleting our container. And here, as I explained, we will deploy just our container with the tag, with the image and image version with the tag. Yes. So I think I have fixed the problem with the. So I think I have fixed the problem with our pipeline. Let us run it for second time and watch the logs here. Let me as well check the IP address of our production environment just to show you that we don't have nothing. Sorry. Yes, it's 8080, yeah. So for the moment we don't have nothing, as you can see. His building image, even when you go to our production machine, as you can see, we don't have any container on running. Let us just wait. He's pushing, he's pushed. Now you see the second pipeline or the second job, as you can see here, when we push, we use that. When we push, let me just, yeah, when we push, we use the label of Ansible agent because we have built our image inside that machine. But when we deploy our game, we will use that one. You see, the label is not the same. Here we have used Ansible agent, and here another label. It's game agent, so it's the label of the production environments, as you can see. Yeah, let us check our pipeline. Not yet. I think we have a problem with our production agent. Let me just check that. Something is wrong, I think, with Jenkins machine. It's stuck. Okay, here we are. So let me just check. Game, okay, game agent. We are using the same label. Yeah, okay. Okay, let us let's check if okay. So maybe stuck in here. Yeah, so it was just stuck on that step, but as you can see, he already pulled the image because when I run the command here, as you can see, we can see our image. And if we do docker ps, this is our container created 31 seconds ago. Now let us go to production environment address, and okay, and this is our game, as you can see. Yeah,